Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. Sorry, I didn't get my camera right here. I'm just outside here, and I know I've been talking about this subject a lot recently, video games. Just finished Divinity Original Sin officially. So this is just the first one, Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition, the first one. I'll admit I was playing on the easy difficulty level, but that difficulty level was plenty difficult, I think, for anyone. Normal difficulty level, I'm sure I want to be more familiar with the game. Advanced ones, I don't even want to think about it. It's a hard game, but I've had some thoughts about this game. Just finishing it, I think would be good to mention. Sorry, I'll be there or something or fly. Not really a bee person. Honeybees fine. So, so the big things, again, I don't want to have any spoilers in this video, but the main things that you have to contend with in general in a Divinity Original Sin are things like those little things on walls that you can overlook if you don't have enough perception, right? Oh my gosh, there are these puzzles in this game that require that you have a high enough perception to find these little buttons that you can push to open certain rooms you can't get to unless you find the button via having high enough perception. I mean, oh my gosh, and you have to, if you don't have anybody that has a high enough perception to find some things, what you have to do, and hopefully everybody has a shovel, every situation is different, but you have to kind of, sometimes you can get a little potion to kind of help out with that. Sometimes you have to, I think a small number of people, somewhat smaller percentage-wise, probably can't finish the game. Or they have to, find some way of beaming back, or you can always beam back. This is one of the, come to think of it, if you were in a situation where you couldn't have a high enough perception to finish a certain puzzle, you could probably put a pyramid down and, go your waypoint, just kind of beam over to a place that has perception potions and buy some and then go back. So it's doable that way, but that's just one thing. So puzzles and perception points, which nobody wants to put points in them because your fighters need strength and constitution, and your mages will need intelligence and constitution, and your rogues will need speed and dexterity or whatever. And that perception attribute gets overlooked until you're needing that perception for a puzzle, So this is just one thing. One other thing that kind of gets, Divinity Original Sin, the first game at least, is I figured out over how to use how the whole Tenebrium, Starstone, Bloodstone kind of thing works. Again, this is not spoilers. There's nothing regarding the storyline that I'm giving away here. It's just kind of mechanics of the game and stuff. So in this game, in Divinity Original Sin, you have something like 17 different star/bloodstones. There's 17 to be had. One of them you won't get until toward the very end of the game, which at that point, is just kind of a bonus, but you can't get there until you have at least 13 of the other 16. So you need to hold on to those inert stones. An inert stone is a star stone that is devoid of the blood essence or blood thing that make it a bloodstone. So, in other words, now I won't say who, but some star stones have been turned into bloodstones. You need to collect all of them. Now, when you collect, you need to collect all the bloodstones, as many as you can, and all the star stones, as many as you can. of the total being 17. But again, you must have 13 in order to go to the final area of the game. Areas. And a bloodstone can cure you of anything. Anything. So this is the solution to the tenebrium issue, which tenebrium is that, unique metal in this game that's darker colored that makes you have the rot, which doesn't really, it's a very slow process, but it saps you of your health, but only one little health point at a time, so you can easily heal yourself for I don't know how long until you can't heal yourself anymore, which is, at that point, I think you've been having tenebrium for a long, long time. Sorry, bug. So, basically, so the tenebrium is kind of not a really big issue, especially once you get a certain item that helps you to not have the rot anymore when you handle tenebrium. Which, again, I won't get into that unless you guys are really curious, but again, I want to be careful about spoilers here. Sorry about the airplane. So anyway, basically, mentioning all the things that are kind of more unique and tricky about the game. One of them is tenebrium. The other one, and that's the tenebrium. Tenebrium is related to the bloodstones because bloodstones can cure you of anything, including the rot, which you get the rot from tenebrium. Only thing is that you think, oh, if you use a bloodstone, will it go away? No, it'll just become an inert stone, which you can still use, which you still need for the game. So you hold on to those. The thing is in my case, I had to remember where I put these different stones. One of my sold to a merchant, another one I just had laying on the ground still. I didn't pick up. I said, "Oh, it's a inert stone," and everyone said, "Oh, this is worthless." No. Don't listen to that dialogue. It's not. You need those. You put them. It's great to put them in that little box, right? The little box. That's the little. Oh, look at the little box. That's the good thing to do. You put them all in the box. That way, they're all there. Now, here's the thing that the game doesn't really do for you. You will need to actually send those inert stones back to your homestead. So if you right-click on the inert stone, it will say option. There's an option to say send back to your homestead, which is the end of time area, right? So you need to do that in order to advance the game. You need to do that to open all those other portals in the end of time area. If you don't do that, you can't move the story forward. The game doesn't really tell you that. You just have to figure that out on your own or look up those things online. Right? So, yeah. I'm not giving anything away about the story. This is all just game mechanics. It's just that, they try to make it very mysterious for a lot of folks. So if you're watching this video, you're probably needing some help on this game, or you're probably just curious about how I did, but most likely you're probably a little bit curious about the game. And so, puzzles with those, with that perception thing. If you have a high enough perception, that area is easier. Tenebrium, you don't worry about getting rot, because at some point you'll get rid of that rot. Until then, you can use healing until you get the item that helps you. I won't say what, the item that helps you handle tenebrium. Bloodstones. They're just star stones that have been kind of infused with some blood, right? They can help you. They can cure you of anything that's wrong with you. And there's 17 of them, and you can use them. But I don't know. You tell you the truth. Once you get that item that helps you with rot, you won't need the bloodstones anymore to cure you of anything. Really. Because you won't have the rot anymore in that regard. Anything else? Oh man, it's just a lot of. There's an area of the game where you get rot, but that's ROT, rot, but not the other type of. But at the very end of the area, you'll be okay. So you won't need to cure yourself until you get to the end of that area. So you'll know, I don't want to spoil it for you. I just, don't want any spoilers. It's just, that's the way they. So, all right. And if you guys are curious about what that is, if you're really dying to know, I'll let you know in a private message. So, yeah, the other things about this game that are kind of unique. The turn-based combat is, a lot of people like it because it's less stressful. But for me, I kind of like the pausing in real time, Baldur's Gate type, because the spacebar lets you kind of, not get too crazy into, well, it makes it much less frenetic. However, it's frenetic enough it keeps the adrenaline of battles that are more intense, a lot more intense, because you're like just pounding that spacebar and you're like, oh my gosh, right? And the pausing helps you kind of think more on your toes. This turn-based combat thing it's great for a lot. I think people prefer that a lot of times because it's just easier to manage a battle instead of having to pause it all the time. But it takes some of the intensity out of some of these big battles, which I think is great because you can think more clearly. But it just, it's like, what do you want? Do you want more intensity or do you want more, So the turn-based thing I have mixed feelings about. But I realize that the majority of people like that, apparently, more than the other systems. So, whatever. But Divinity, so there's other things about Divinity that make it unique and hard. There's just a lot of things that you just don't know about until you go, oh, duh. I had a really hard time picking up a certain item toward the end of the game, and I had to ask for help from the company. And they helped me out the very next day, which is amazing. So Larian Studios, thank you. Applause. You guys are awesome. I can't thank you enough. You guys are great. I know they probably get a lot of frustrated, grumpy, whatever. We're all, frustrated if we can't figure something out. But no, the funny thing is that it has a lot to do with controls. The controls from game system to game system, or from computer to computer, all these kinds of computers that use the game, they just vary so much. I mean, it comes down to, it's hard. You go from one platform to the other, it just makes it really hard to handle certain situations. So, I mean, definitely tell the Larian Studios if you're having trouble and talking to them, tell them. It's good to tell them your game system or your computer, but a lot of times, it's just a matter of finding that one option that works. And in my case, it was a right alt option, and then get what I needed to get. So, but yeah, you have those, and maybe Divinity Original Sin has one too many of those situations for a lot of folks. But it's still really fun. I have to admit that I was expecting, in a way, more of Alice in Wonderland type secrets. So you have to eat the mushroom to shrink and find the little hole to get, like Dragon Age had those kinds of things, right? The dream sequences and the shrinking like a mouse. You could go through certain areas, and then of course you could do something else, shapeshift into a golem big rock golem to smash people. I remember playing I love Dragon Age, but I was expecting maybe more certain kinds of secret areas where kind of something along those lines. But a lot of secret areas in Divinity Original Sin have to do with, yep, there we go, teleportation. Teleportation, or using your pyramids, the red and blue pyramids you get fairly early on, learning how to use those better. It's just so many things. So many times it's just like, oh my gosh, yes. So teleportation, your pyramids, and I don't know. There's one other thing that you can do sometimes. Yeah, and the resurrecting. So someone dies doing something, but there's one place in the game, I won't say where you actually need to have your other party members kill you, and then you wake up in a place where you can find something that you need to advance the whole plot line of the story, right? Or at least one of the major secondary So actually, is it vital to the story? Um, I think it's one of the secondary. It's one of the major secondary quests, at least. In order to advance that, you have to do this. But kill yourself, have your party members kill you. What? I mean, it's the kind of whoa. It's like whoa, that's pretty intense, right? It's Indiana Jones grabbing the skull or else you die kind of thing. It's like, so it's there's just a lot of puzzles in this game that are really, really fun, but really sometimes they test your IQ. They test your thinking out of the box all the time, all the time. So many games are very rigid in what you can do and can't do. The Elder Scrolls games were one of the games that let you kind of go wherever you wanted to. However, it was hard for the developers to keep coming up with new ideas that were interesting, at least to them. But that you could just have a square mile after square mile, cave after cave of new stuff. I mean, at a certain point, these guys, they were probably doing so many things with the programming. They're just like, let's just do some repeats of stuff, ideas. I'm like, sure. It's hard to make an Elder Scrolls game endlessly full of variety and interest in different personalities. It's just, it's like this world we live in has got that. It's just, we're kind of limited geographically sometimes, but we have jobs and things, but, I mean, but it's basically trying, Elder Scrolls tried to make these fantasy, the video game worlds as immersive and as our world. I mean, they fell very short of that, but it was one of those game changer things where go wherever you want to go, do what you want to do. In Divinity Original Sin, you don't have that option of going really wherever you want to go sometimes, but I mean it teens a bit more linear than that, of course. But it's just very packed in with more interesting things all the time. But despite that, you still have these puzzles and things where you do have to think out the side of the box all the time, and use things in different ways. Use all different combat spells in different ways. A fireball can become a raging forest fire if you design it right. You wipe out an entire army like with one little fireball, or something like that. But what other game can you? That's just. It's insane. It's one of the strengths of Divinity Original Sin, I think. So, but this game was amazing. I do feel a little bit spent intellectually after finishing this game, which is a good sign. It wasn't like When I finished Pillars of Eternity, I mean, it was a decent game, but I realized the dragon in that game is crazy. I'd never beat it. What was the point? And I know you can do it, but it's just, oh my gosh. I was like, this isn't worth it. But, I beat the game, but, I won't say. It's just that the ending is a little bit, not a challenge. But yeah, I mean, the ending in Divinity Original Sin, I won't say, how hard or easy it was. I'll just say, as things go, it was somewhere in the middle, perhaps. I wish I could say more. But, it was the battle before the very last battle that was a little tricky. Yeah. There's a way to cheese it, right? There's a way to get through that area without, but again, this is a private message thing, and it kind of depends on what's going on with something. So, but yeah, the very last battle, really cool, not too hard, not too easy. It was actually just about right. It was fun. Anyway, so I highly recommend again playing this game. Again, I just finished this game, so all right, I'll catch you guys later. Take it. Bye.